Yes, good morning. We're back in business and we need you to help the police crack down on crime on today's programme. The teenager left for dead by a hit-and-run driver.
Just can't understand why somebody could do that and just drive off. Two innocent kids are just walking home.
And we're out with the officers trying to keep North Yorkshire's roads free from crime.
We're under arrest on suspicion of theft.
You're watching Crimewatch Roadshow. Hello and welcome to Crimewatch Roadshow. We're live tackling the crime that's affecting you wherever you live. Also, coming up this morning, the staff at a Sheffield jewellers left terrified after a smash and grab raid.
The noise was quite alarming. They really were swinging their sledgehammer.
And we lift the lid on puppy smuggling, tracking the young, sick animals imported illegally. It's our last day with North Yorkshire Police, and Sian's in Skipton, brushing up on her driving skills.
I am Rav. Good morning to you. And did you know it's exactly 80 years since the driving test was made compulsory? These young people have just passed theirs. However, it's very easy to slip into bad habits, and that can lead to serious accidents, fatalities and a criminal record. And getting distracted behind the wheel is one of the biggest problems. So today I'm brushing up on my driving skills and talking to these teenagers because they're in the group who are most at risk.
Thanks, Sian. But first, we need your help to trace the driver who left a teenager fighting for his life by the roadside.
A teenage couple walking home for an evening out.
Just can't understand why somebody could do that and just drive off.
Why would you leave kids laid there for dead?
In September last year, 16-year-old Blake and 15-year-old Jess were walking home after a fun evening out with school friends.
They've been together for nearly a year now, and they're really, really close. They don't leave each other's side. Wherever Jessica goes, our Blake goes, or where our Blake goes, Jessica's 2 footsteps behind.
As night fell, the teenagers decided to take a shortcut through an industrial estate. They headed down Barrowfield Road towards Jess's home. It was quiet, with very few cars or people around.
We started walking down the road, and as we were going to that bend, I heard a noise, like the sound of a car.
In the darkness, a car was approaching Blake and Jess at speed.
Then when we got onto the corner, a car came round, its lights turned off.
As the car approached, the driver did the unthinkable and mounted the curb. Blake pushed Jess to safety, but his selfless act would be life-changing. The driver stopped for a second, but instead of helping the teenager they'd just mown down, the car switched its lights on and sped away, leaving Jess terrified and confused.
I was scared, because when the car drove off, I didn't see where Blake were at first.
Then she saw her boyfriend lying on the ground and ran to help him.
I was just shocked, I didn't know what to do.
Someone help!
When I tried to pick him up, I could see how his head split open. I put him back down.
Blake was unconscious and seriously hurt. He spent 8 days in hospital with devastating head injuries. His leg and shoulder were broken and his pelvis was fractured.
That night was terrible. They said it weren't an easy operation. They had to lift all his forehead up. They had to lift it all back and stitch inside and outside.
I went to see him every day, but I was still going home crying and upset because of what happened. But my family were there to help me through it, and his family were there.
When you're lying there in a hospital bed and you think you're not going to be able to walk again.
9 months on, Blake is still living with the effects of the crash.
I always get migraines. I need to take tablets so I can't sleep sometimes.
His head injury is just not the same lad that I used to be. He gets mad right easy. Like, we have to stop car wherever we go because he gets that frustrated, he just wants us to stop. And things he's been through. And he says to me, Mum, it's not nice.
I get pains when I walk with my pelvis and my leg, and I can't. I used to like go gym before I remembered my membership, and now I can't go because of my shoulder.
Blake, Jess and their families are desperate to know who committed this appalling crime.
Many theories were considered as to why this had happened, from being a complete unintentional event, an accident if you will, to being an intentional event. For whatever reason, they didn't have the moral decency to even call an ambulance anonymously, to render any aid whatsoever, or to ensure that aid was on its way before leaving the scene.
Somebody must know something. Because they must have gone home without the car, or the car damaged. Just can't understand why somebody could do that and just drive off. Two innocent kids are just walking home.
Very sad case, this one, and Inspector Steve Askham from South Yorkshire Police is here. Steve, what do you know about this car?
The vehicle involved in the incident, we believe it's a small, dark-coloured car. We believe it had blacked-out windows. At the time of the collision, we suspect that it had no lights on. After it collided with the two young people, causing some terrible injuries to Blake and some injuries to the young lady, it left the scene. It may well have damage as a result of that collision, and indeed it's possible that the occupants of the vehicle may well have suffered injuries in the collision.
Can you give us any details about the route?
The vehicle travelled down Barrowfield Road from the Phoenix Lane end of that road towards the A635 at Thurnscoe, near Barnsley in South Yorkshire.
Is there any evidence recovered at the scene that can help you with this?
There is. Some evidence was found at the scene. It's been forensically recovered and preserved. That evidence will be used to eliminate or rule in any car that's made aware to the inquiry.
And how is Blake doing now?
Blake's recovering well from some terrible injuries. He's a fighter, he's making a good recovery. We're pleased that he is doing well, and somebody out there will know this vehicle that's involved in this collision. Loyalties change, and we just need that information into the inquiry to help identify who's responsible for causing these injuries to Blake.
Absolutely, thank you very much. We do desperately want your help with this one, and so does Blake and his family.
Now it's time for today's collection of crooks caught on camera. See if you can spot any familiar faces.
This man's having a fag break outside a late-night establishment when he's approached by three men keen to get inside. The worker runs indoors, but he can't get in because the door's being held shut by his manager. The gang resort to brute force, but fail to lever the door open with a knife. Time for a rethink. Back in the car park, they waylay another member of staff and frisk him for keys. Bingo, they find some, but they're his car keys, so they chuck them back at him. This trio couldn't organise the proverbial. Names, please. It's Valentine's Day, and a woman has attracted some unwanted attention. A man strong-arms her as she walks alone near London Bridge Station in central London. Police say he's followed her off a tube train. As they pass a building site, he shoves her up against the perimeter fence. That's when he's disturbed by a member of the public and walks hastily back towards the station. Let's have a name for this not-so-Prince Charming. Right, this one's a quickie. Two lads stride into a phone shop in Skipton and snatch two display handsets. One of them drops a phone and dodges the manager on his way out. This gives his mate time to cut the security cable with a pair of pliers and leg it. Got that? Then give us a bell.
Well, if you know who any of those people are, then give us a ring right now. The number to call is 08000 468 999. Calls are free from most landlines, but some network and mobile operators will charge. You can text us instead on 63399, text CW space and then your message. You'll be charged at your standard message rate, or email us. The address is cwr@bbc.co.uk. Now, let's see what Sian's up to.
Well, earlier we heard from a teenager who'd been badly injured in a hit-and-run accident, and sadly, young people are most at risk behind the wheel too. Well, it's Road Safety Week, and some of the students here at Craven College are being put through their paces on a driving simulator to see how easily they're distracted. We'll find out in a bit more about that soon. But Ken, first of all, distractions behind the wheel, it's something you know all about.
Yes, certainly the most common distraction would be the use of mobile phones. With social media being so prevalent now, it's very common behind the wheel, unfortunately.
Not just mobile phones, though,
Not
is it?
just mobile phones. People will read maps, they'll do their hair, they'll do anything. Once I was following a vehicle that was veering all over the road, came alongside it, and it was a heavy goods vehicle. The driver was stood up scratching his bottom, would you believe?
Well, we might laugh about that now, but that could have serious consequences.
Extremely serious. Most young drivers, 1 in 5, will have a collision within 6 months of passing the test. And personally, I've been involved in 2 fatal road traffic collisions in the last year involving the use of a mobile phone. So it's an extremely serious matter.
Indeed. Thanks very
Thank
much,
you.
Ken. Now, I've been driving for the past, 25 years, and someone thought it'd be a great idea for me to be put through my paces on the simulator. Sam, I'm glad you've warmed the seat up for me.
Morning.
Morning, Fiona. What do I need to do in here?
Right, all you need to do is just set off as if you are driving down the road normally, OK? So I'll sit into gear and off we go, a bit of throttle.
Oh, this wheel is quite heavy. Right, there's a message popped up on the screen.
And so you need to answer your text message.
Right, I've done that.
We had a little bit of a wobble there.
Yes, there are lots of wobbles
and you've got
going
another
on
text
here.
message to answer.
Right.
Right.
Oh, well, I nearly crossed the white line.
And you were quite close to hitting that car there, so...
So why do you use this, Fiona? Obviously, I'm having a go, but...
It's quite a simple tool to demonstrate to people, you know, the hazards that they come across and the risks that they can create themselves.
Right.
And we find, particularly with young drivers, that with this module, texting, they think that they can text and drive quite easily.
No,
and then they find that, as you did there, swerved a little bit, and just me talking to them like passengers do, you just lose your concentration. It's a particular issue for young drivers because with their lack of experience, they need to use a lot more of their sort of attention just to drive. Oh, and we had another little bit of a swerve on there.
I know, I was trying to change gear. Also,
another
try to put this on here as well. Right, another one's going in.
Okay, we're swerving all over the place now.
No, it's really difficult. I shouldn't be laughing because it's really a serious issue.
It is. You know, I mean, statistics tell us that you're 4 times more likely to have a crash if you're texting while you're driving. And government research has shown that your reaction times can increase like 37%.
Right, well,
if you are texting, which is more than being at the legal drink driving limit.
Well, my time is up. Fiona, thank you very much. Rav, I don't think I did too well. I think you'd be a lot better at this one.
Yeah, I don't think I'll be getting a lift with you anytime soon. Still to come on today's programme. This little fella will be joining us in studio to help us find out more about puppies being sold illegally and why you shouldn't buy them.
And we'll be appealing for your help to try to catch the thieves who stole a very rare Harley Davidson, similar to this one.
Next, though, help us find the men behind a brazen daytime robbery in the heart of Sheffield city centre.
3 masked men. Terrified staff.
One smack from crowbar could have caused horrendous damage.
£125,000 in stolen jewellery.
You never really forget it.
In the heart of Sheffield's bustling city centre lies H.L. Brown Jewellery Store. It was a Tuesday morning, and staff were going about their daily routine.
It was just a normal day. I was on the shop floor.
And we were just talking about general information about what we were doing for the day and things like that.
But it wasn't going to stay quiet for long.
I noticed at the corner of my eye, 3 people were coming towards the front door.
You get down! Oh, yeah, get out! Old man, get down! Get down! Come on, get down!
They were shouting. I couldn't really understand what they were saying.
Get down now!
The men opened a backpack and pulled out hammers and crowbars.
He was waving something in front of me, which turned out to be a crowbar.
Get down!
And he was saying, get down on the floor.
Get down!
The manager and his assistant were backed into the corner while the gang smashed wildly at the store's jewellery display cases.
The noise was quite alarming. They really were swinging their sledgehammer.
And they then spotted the high-value items.
Daniel was itching to have a go at them. I mouthed to him to keep still and stay where he was. It was just too risky for him to attack.
The Rolex display was their next target. And in seconds, they were in possession of a small fortune.
Within moments, they ran out again, and that was it. We were left high and dry.
The watches that have been stolen are all Rolexes. There are 17 of them in total. The most valuable was a Sky Dweller Rolex watch, which has a retail price of £32,000.
The haul was worth a total of £125,000. The men made their escape in a silver Citroën C3 Desire, waiting nearby. The robbery has had a huge emotional impact on the people working in the shop that day.
It was just surreal. It was like kind of being in a movie. Is this actually happening?
Since the attack, there has been one positive result in the investigation. James May from London pleaded guilty to conspiracy to rob and was jailed for 3.5 years.
The evidence that was against him was DNA that was found on the crowbar. But he's not talking about anyone else that is involved. It's not unusual, you know, the criminals will stick together.
Police believe the man's accomplices could also be from the south of England.
His connections to London and Bromley and Kent and that area of the country. Our investigation suggests that they have travelled up the M1 in order to commit this crime and been around Sheffield in the early hours of the morning.
Images of the 3 robbers were captured on nearby CCTV. One man has a distinctive blue Franklin & Marshall hooded top. This ruthless act has affected the shop staff, their families and the local community.
A robbery like this is not just about the property that's been stolen. The staff have been massively affected by the actions of these thieves.
It has made people very jumpy, very wary.
Do you have any information about these people? If you do, please get in touch. And did you see the getaway car? To remind you, it's a silver Citroën C3. The model is a Desire, the registration plate VU55PZB. Now, it's got new legitimate owners now, but if you saw it on September the 23rd last year, we'd like to know. Now, today is all about crime that takes place on the road. Have a look at this beauty, a Harley Davidson, much desired by collectors, but also, unfortunately, by thieves. And Jim, that's something you know all about because you're investigating a case at the moment.
Yes, we are. We're currently investigating the theft of a Harley-Davidson motorcycle, which was stolen during a burglary in Coleman, Cartwright Garrison on Friday, May the 8th. The Harley-Davidson that was stolen is a Harley-Davidson Street Glide CVO, which is spice rum in colour. And it's a limited edition, and it's one of only 3,500, which was manufactured in 2010 for worldwide distribution. The actual Harley-Davidson itself, the paintwork is unique. It's so unique that it's only been repaired by a Harley-Davidson dealer. And this bike in question has a 2-inch scratch to the offside pannier, which is very distinctive and very recognisable.
So that was a very, very rare bike. I mean, it was advertised for sale, wasn't it?
It certainly was, yes. It was advertised for sale on eBay for £16,000 prior to the theft. And it was stolen, unfortunately, as the owner was returning from holiday.
So really, I suppose the message is, you know, lots of people sell things on the internet, don't they? But that they shouldn't tell people when they're not at home. What's the advice?
I would advise if anyone's selling anything on eBay and they're thinking about going on holiday, if they have any inquiries whilst they're on holiday, don't reply to the inquiries. Wait till you come back and then chase them up from there.
OK, Jim, that's great. Thanks very much. Let's hope someone can help on this one.
Thank you, Shah. Now, here's an amazing fact. 9 million households in the UK own a dog. That's about a third of us. They're just part of the family. But knowing where to buy a healthy puppy is becoming more and more difficult. Joining me now is Sian Edwards from the Dogs Trust, and we've got Vincent, the puppy, in the studio to help us explain what's been happening. Sian and Vincent, good morning. So, tell us what this problem is.
Well, recently there's been some changes to the rules about bringing dogs into the UK, so it's been made easier. But unfortunately, there's still people bringing dogs into the country illegally to meet the demand for puppies that are wanted in the UK. And these dogs are being brought in with fake identification and fake passports. So not only can the puppies be sick and travel in awful conditions, but also the parents of those puppies in the original countries are being kept in awful conditions.
So why do you think this is happening?
Well, look at Vincent here, he's absolutely adorable, and people are falling in love with these puppies. They're looking online, they're going to social media, they're seeing individual ads for puppies, and they're buying quickly. So what we're saying is that we want people to take a little bit more time, find the way to get the puppy that you want from a reputable breeder. So you're not funding this trade, and also you're ensuring that the puppy that you're buying is going to be healthy and well socialised.
As is Vincent. It's worth saying Vincent's a UK puppy, isn't he? UK bred, and he's 10 weeks old, and he's had all his injections, and he's fit and healthy.
Yes, very much so. This is exactly the kind of puppy that we want people to look out for. There's some physical signs, obviously he's fit and well, but obviously we want people to make sure the actual source that the dogs are coming from, and that's the important thing.
Well, you've actually had an investigation into this illegal trade, haven't you? We're going to see some images in a moment about the dogs being transported, but before we do that, I must warn you that some of you may find these a little upsetting. Let's have a look at what you've recorded here. Tell me what's happening here.
Well, this is just typical of what our research has found in these countries. There's husky dogs here being transported in the boot of a van. These dogs are all piled up. Bull breeds, again, very popular, all available through rescues, but these puppies are being brought in, kept in these cages, often travelling for days.
Horrendous. And disease could obviously be a big problem there as
Disease
well.
is a problem not only for your puppy that you could be buying, but also for the population of dogs already in the UK.
So what top tips can you give us to buy it safely?
OK, take your time. There's lots of good breeders out there. If you're really interested in a particular breed, then come to talk to us at Dogs Trust. We've got lots of information online. Even if you're not getting a rescue dog, we can point you to the direction of where the breeders are accredited. They're in the UK. Just because a dog's got some paperwork doesn't mean it's genuine.
OK, so do your checks thoroughly. Well, thank you, Sian, for joining us. And, of course, thank you, little Vincent.
That certainly had the R factor, Rav. Now, North Yorkshire is one of the biggest and most rural counties in the UK, so policing its roads is a massive task. Well, we spent the day with a specialist road crime team checking out the latest high-tech equipment they're using to crack down on criminals on the roads. Covering more than 3,000 square miles of peaceful countryside and busy towns, North Yorkshire is a tricky county to patrol. Crime rates here may be relatively low, but the surrounding areas have some of the highest crime levels in the UK. So to stop criminals crossing the borders, a special operation was launched.
What we're going to do today is we're going to run the 2 road crime team cars with a second car, a following car, as one of the firearms cars.
The team are preparing for another day on the road. The £1 million Operation Hawk combines cameras, technology and specialist road teams to chase down the crooks. Today we're heading out with Sergeant Andy Quigley and PC Paul Stamp.
Go up today, let's go see if we can get some baddies.
His officers split into teams of 4, each taking out 2 patrol cars. And they work together to intercept any suspicious-looking cars.
We're a road crime team, so we're looking particularly at denying criminals use of the roads in vehicles. We're looking primarily for burglars, anybody who's involved in criminality that we can track down.
To help with their search, Sergeant Quigley's team use in-car cameras to constantly scan registration plates using automatic number plate recognition, or ANPR. And it's already helped them to pull over their first suspect.
The vehicle drove past us, checked the vehicle, and it wasn't heading directly to its home address, and it did a left and a right, which aroused my suspicion, so we came up behind the vehicle, caused it to stop on Ridgeway. Curious way of going round, that was all. That's what drew our attention to you. Passenger smelt strongly of cannabis, and it smelt fresh cannabis. Told him he was going to be searched. When they searched the passenger, there was a rustling of some plastic, as if there was something in his trousers.
And it turns out that rustling was £65 worth of cannabis. And the driver was later charged with possessing a Class B drug. But it's not just the cars on the road doing all the work. Here in the control hub in York, information is gathered from dozens of fixed cameras strategically placed around the county, giving the force a bird's-eye view.
We get roughly 2,000 ANPR alarms a day that range everything from uninsured motorists, drink drive, right the way up to some of the most organised, serious criminal gangs that do things like steal motor vehicles to order, organised drug supply, so it could literally be anything.
Back on the roads, in the unmarked police car, Operation Hawk has triggered an alert for PC's Ben Astin and James Duffy.
A car that's gone past here, and it's flagged up as having no insurance, so we're just going to give it a check and find out what the state of the insurance policy is on it.
But when they catch up with the driver, it's not just his insurance they're concerned about. The officers can also smell alcohol on his breath. He was later found to be over the limit and is now due to appear in court. By the afternoon, the control room is buzzing with alerts. And both cars are called upon to chase down a driver suspected of bike theft.
Go on side and boss, just go select front.
No, is it your vehicle? It's your mum's. You got any documents to drive it?
When they search the car, there are no bikes, but they do find cannabis and some unusual-looking tablets.
He was found with a latex glove in the centre console with some white, what we can describe as look like extra strong mints, but tablet form, wrapped up in a blue latex glove, which we strongly suspect to be amphetamine.
The offenders caught today were all local. No cross-border criminals were spotted on the surveillance cameras. But the officers are confident that the system does work.
What can possibly be better than lifetime intelligence, and it's actionable intelligence? It's absolutely fundamental.
And it's all down to the communication between cars, cameras and the control centre.
Yeah, some good results there. Let's see if we can do the same with today's wanted faces, starting with Solomon Anthony Coburn, who also goes by the names Chris, Jay or Jason Duncombe. He's wanted by Sussex Police after failing to turn up at court, where he was found guilty of importing £20 million worth of cocaine into the UK. Coburn speaks with a Jamaican accent and has links to North London. Next up is 34-year-old Sean Durkin. Officers in Greater Manchester want to question him after an assault in Stockport and have been trying to track him down since last summer. Durkin has dog bite scars on his left arm and abdomen. He's got links to Stockport, Manchester and Wales. Or Do you know the whereabouts of this man? Stephen Dowling. Lancashire police want him for questioning about the theft and attempted theft of a number of HGV and tractor units from across the UK. Dowling has several tattoos, including a Black Panther head on his left arm and a swallow with mum and dad on his right arm. And last up today is Sarah Mains. She's wanted by police in Bedfordshire after a violent fracas broke out in a Luton street. Mains goes by a variety of other names, including Sarah Ashby, Andrea Dobson and Sarah Taylor. She's got a 1-inch scar on the right side of her face and has links to Luton and the north of England. So, if you recognise any of this lot, make sure you pick up the phone. Call us on 08000 468 999 or text us on 63399. Remember to leave a space between CW and your message, otherwise it won't get through. If you prefer, you can email us at cwr@bbc.co.uk. Now, Sian's finding out more about the dangers facing teenage drivers.
I am Rav. Now, this car will be familiar to many of us. It's the type of vehicle, perhaps, that we got perhaps not long after our test, a first car. But this one is owned by North Yorkshire Fire Service. Jeff, what are you using it for here today?
Well, this is just playing a simple hazard perception test. Sam's doing very well. She's trying to ignore the distractions that are going on from the rear seat. Oh, Sam, could you pass me that sweet, please? And she's equally trying to keep an eye on the road and see when the actual hazard comes out and indicate when that's happening.
Why is it so important then that you do this?
Young people get the skills of driving so very quickly, but experience always comes more slowly. Hazard perception is something that they need to be aware of, and also it's passengers.
Yeah, exactly. There's a lot going on in there.
They need to learn that they need to behave.
And Sam, let me just quickly check in. How are you doing? How are you finding it? When did you first pass your test?
In November.
So you haven't been driving long, have you?
Pass me a red one, please.
Do you go out often with your friends in the car?
Yeah.
And is it like this? I mean, obviously they're not going to be pushing the seat, I would hope. But, you know, do you get distracted?
Yeah, because you want to talk to them and look at them, then you can't. You've just got to concentrate on the road.
Well, listen, you're doing really well. We'll leave you to that. Obviously, it looks like a fun training exercise, but it has got a serious message. And you two have not been driving for long, but you've already had a bad experience, Beth. What happened?
Yeah, well, I was driving along, my phone started ringing on the passenger seat, and stupidly I looked across, and for that split second, then I crashed into someone.
And how did you feel about that?
Well, it's a big shock, because I'd only just passed my test, and I felt really bad.
You're talking about it today, which is quite a brave thing to do. I mean, do you want to highlight the dangers, how easy it is to be distracted?
Yeah, it's so easy to get distracted. I wasn't on my phone, but just looking across, and you can crash so
okay,
easily.
Thank you. Josh, what happened in your case? Wasn't it the other way around, a distracted driver?
Yes, someone veered into my lane going around a corner and sadly crashed into me and wrote off my car.
Oh, well, we're really pleased that the two of you are OK now. So we've seen the message there, how easy it is to be distracted. The team in there, I think, doing very well. Let's hope that they've learnt a few lessons. I certainly have today.
Next, an appeal for a witness who might be able to help police find a dangerous rapist. Here with me now is DS Joe Benton from Sussex Police. Thank you for coming in, Joe. Tell us, when and where did this attack take place?
It happened at 2 a.m. on Sunday, the 19th of October last year in Eastbourne in East Sussex.
OK, now we can see a map and the route that the victim took. If we have a look now, can you describe where she went that night?
She was in Cameo nightclub. She left and walked along Langley Road, straight into Terminus Road, all the way along Terminus Road towards the seafront.
And we can just see there where she goes along the seafront, just shortly, this is the area where the incident occurred. Now, the attacker is someone she hadn't met and didn't know, isn't it?
That's correct. She's never met him before, and she describes him as an Asian male, and he's stocky,
yep.
Aged between 30 and 40, and he was wearing a jumper at the time of the attack.
OK. And you've also got some forensic evidence as well?
Yes, we do, and we can confirm that it is an Asian male that we're looking for, which will eliminate any innocent person from the inquiry.
That's the beauty of the forensics. Now, there is some CCTV here that we're going to have a look at of a witness. Now, this is a witness that you want to trace because he may have vital information. Talk me through what's happening here.
This is the witness that's walking back down Terminus Road. He's just been with the victim. He's a white male, aged between 20 and 30, and he was wearing a black leather jacket at the time he was with the victim.
OK, so have a look at this. Now, just to reiterate, he is a witness. You are not suspecting him. Your forensic evidence has ruled him out. He's not suspected of any involvement. You just want to know who he is because he may be able to help you.
That's correct. He's not being treated as a suspect. He is a significant witness, and I think he might hold some vital information that can help the inquiry.
Yeah, OK. Thank you, Jo. Thank you. And if you do recognise the witness or have any idea who the attacker might be, then please do get in touch. Next, time to take another look at a crime that was featured first on Crimewatch a year ago. Detectives in North Yorkshire are still searching for the men behind a violent burglary and hoping that someone will speak out.
I love this place. We've put a lot of heart into it. It's a family home. The kids love it.
So I remember, playing cricket with my brother in the back garden, sisters playing on the trampoline. I feel safe, secure.
It's a happy home. I love it here. I absolutely love it. I went to pick my daughter up from the school bus, went and collected Ben from his friends, and then came home.
OK, come on then, let's go inside. The keys. Right, get in quickly, it's quite cold now. What are we having for tea tonight, I don't know, I was thinking maybe do some lamb or something.
I was going to make tea. Ben was sat watching television, and that's just normal on a school night.
I put my things away as I normally would, and I'd turn the TV on. My younger sister was upstairs.
I was just moving around the kitchen, and I could hear something. So I just turned to look at the door, and then the door opened, and 4 of them came in. And I screamed, and obviously Ben had heard me scream.
And at that point, I knew something was wrong. And then everything happened. I was terrified, and I kind of froze for a second. My first reaction was to run upstairs and find my younger sister. I kind of got hold of her, and then 2 men in balaclavas came up the stairs, one with a crowbar.
What's going on?
And then they took us downstairs, where my mum was.
Where's the safe?
It was chaotic. One was guarding me, and the other one seemed to be in charge, and they were shouting and demanding to know where the jewellery was, where the watches were, where the safe was. I was petrified. And also, I didn't know what they were going to do to the kids. So I was really scared, pathetic, I felt, actually, because I'm the mum, and I wasn't in control of it.
But they were taking me upstairs. I was basically forced around the house to tell them where things were. The threats they were posing was initially that they'd kill my mum and sister. When you get told that by people you don't know, in balaclavas with crowbars, it's a serious threat.
You listen to me!
It was really horrible. I couldn't do anything.
Who are you? You're wasting my time!
I suppose I literally just did exactly what they told me.
I want to pick it up! Pick it up!
The most important thing seemed to be to find the guns, and I wouldn't tell them where anything was. So they threatened to shoot Ben. What do you do when somebody does that to you? That's really tough.
And it seemed so intentful, it was scary, and they took me through the kitchen into another room, which led to a room with the gun cabinet in.
Take it!
It was as if they knew it was there, and they got into the cabinet.
The frightened bit disappeared. I got quite angry at one point because it was kind of like, I've had enough now. You've been in my house, you've taken my stuff, you've abused my kids. Get out. They pushed us up the stairs, pushed us into the bathroom. I was frightened initially because it went quiet.
My mum was in shock and she was trying to get out. She said she had to get out.
Ben calmly took over and undid the lock.
They could have been downstairs still. They could have been anywhere in the house, we didn't know. All we heard was them going down the stairs, and they had shotguns and knives.
Ben was saying, Mum, don't stay upstairs. But I think I wanted to make sure they'd gone, so I shot downstairs and they'd disappeared.
The things they put us through, and they benefit. I mean, they've benefited from something that's kind of affected us so hugely. And I just don't see how they could get away with that.
Do you know what? All I'd like to say is picture yourself in my position.
Emergency. I've just been robbed by a gang. Okay, whereabouts are you? Oh my God. Please hurry, I'm so frightened.
Would you really be proud of somebody if they were a member of your family and they behaved like that? I wouldn't. I really wouldn't.
And with me now is DC Gary Blackburn. A really nasty robbery, this one, Gary. Even the children were threatened.
Yes, that's right. Well, it happened on 6th of December 2013, so 18 months ago now, and the family is still deeply affected by it. We do believe the gang is still at large. There's 4 of them, and from the Leeds area.
So remind us what was taken.
What was taken, the main jewellery items was a pear-shaped diamond ring, a 10-carat one, which was worth £250,000, a Patek Philippe Complications watch model 5270G, which was about £100,000, both rare pieces.
And what about the guns that were taken as well?
Outstanding guns are, there's 2 Parazzis over and unders, there's a Beretta DT10 over and under, and this, which is, as you can see, there's a rare and unique design there on the gun. This is a Krieghoff K80 model, that's still outstanding.
Yeah, if we take a close look at that, we can really see how intricate it is, and hopefully that might jog somebody's memory. Also, a car that you're interested in knowing more about.
Yeah, there was a dark Audi A4 which was spotted near to the scene of the crime, and we believe the getaway driver was using that with the gang inside, so we'll appeal for anyone to come forward with any information about that as well.
Because the family's Porsche was also taken, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was a white Porsche. That was taken as well as a getaway car, but that was left about half a mile away just down the road, and that was recovered.
And how is the family now?
Very sad, very upsetting for them. It's very impactful for them, you know, and even 18 months down the line, we want to bring offenders to justice for this and get something for the family.
Thank you. And if you want to remain anonymous on this one, you can ring Crime Stoppers 0800 555 111.
Just got time to give you a quick update now. We've already had a potential name for one of the men caught on CCTV stealing a mobile phone from a shop in Skipton. We've also had lots of information about the Harrogate flasher who was approaching women in the park. That was on yesterday's programme. Some possible names for him. And you gave us 2 potential names for that light-fingered laptop thief on a train we showed on yesterday's CCTV too. So do please keep those calls, texts and emails coming in. As you can see, they really are making a difference. Now, Sian, tell us, where are you going to be tomorrow?
Well, Rav, after the lessons that I've learned on today's programme, I am going to be driving very carefully to Sheffield for tomorrow's show, I can tell you. I'm going to be with South Yorkshire Police, finding out how they're cracking down on drugs and burglaries and what happens when they recover stolen property. What do they do with it? Also, I'll be meeting a super police dog who's won an award.
Lovely. Thank you, Sian. For more details about the crimes on today's programme, head to the website, and we're going to end with a last look at our wanted faces. Do you know where any of these people are? If so, you know what to do. We're waiting to take your call. We're back on your screens at 9:15 tomorrow. Until then, take care.